Hello and welcome to Impact Africa, our online TV program, where we get to celebrate and have conversations with diverse people and organizations who are impacting lives positively, and at the same time to highlight and celebrate events, places, positive news as well. And this is me, Dr. Kemi Adebayo, also known as Mama K. And in today's program, and to share an amazing story, is my sister. Yes, I've only known her for a very short period, but she is my sister from another mother, the visionary, innovative, and humble Edupreneur, Mrs. Kunda Wami Chilwesa, popularly called Wami. And she is the founder and CEO of Little Sweetheart Childcare and Education Center, which is based in Lusaka, Zambia. My dear sister Wami, how are you? And welcome to Impact Africa.
I'm great, thanks. I'm super excited. I wish I can match your energy, but as we go on, I definitely will catch up.
Don't mind my energy.
Mama Kay, thank you for the great opportunity. It's a great honor to be on your program. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Let's start first by your name, Wami Kunda. I know it's Kunda Wami, and you told me you preferred Wami. What does it mean? And tell us a little bit about where you're from, your journey growing up, and family education. Just share with us.
Great. Okay, so my first name is Kunda. I was named after my father's mother. Funny enough, my mom's the one that picked the name and not my dad, so it wasn't really imposed on her. Out of her love for her mother-in-law, she named me Kunda. But my dad personally named me Wami because it means mine. So in our tribe, which is Kaonde, Wami Bunke means mine alone. So I'm the only girl in my family, and I've got 3 brothers, and then there's my mom and my dad. And so yes, so this only girl, daddy's girl, daddy's
I can imagine,
favorite.
Wami.
My brothers are going to kill me, but yes.
So what would your husband
Here
say?
comes the name Wami.
So what would your husband say if you're mine for your dad, daddy's girl, but you're still his at that, with your husband, I guess.
Yes, and now my husband has personalized the Wami. Whenever he refers to me, we have people around, he calls me Wami. When it's the 2 of us or we're just having any normal conversation, I'm Kunda. So I'm like, okay, why the difference? He says, no, when I introduced her, and I said, she's Wami. I'm basically saying she's mine. Hands off, back off.
So tell us about life in Zambia. How is life in Zambia? Growing up with, only girl, 3 brothers. How was life in Zambia? What's Zambian culture like?
Okay, I come from a family that's not so big on culture, like the traditional culture, but we do have respect for our culture in terms of respect for older people. So growing up, I had a very lovely childhood. My dad has always held some high positions when it comes to employment, so I wouldn't say I ever lacked for anything growing up. As my mom has always mentioned, I'm the child who was born with a golden spoon in her mouth. We lived on the Copperbelt province. I was born on the Copperbelt province in Chilawombwe. My dad was a civil engineer by profession, so immediately he came from university. He was a senior staff. That's what they used to call them. So he entered in senior management. Kids who I used to hang around would always use this very offensive term, Mbemba it's Kochinondo, which kind of means rich kid. Because I had the dolls, I had the tea sets, and at 3, I had a dollhouse. My dad went to do his master's in the UK, and when he came back, he came with this real dollhouse. The lights would go on. And it wasn't common because the district of the town more in Chilawombwe was a very small town. It's near Congo. Kasumbalesa border there. So it's not a glamorous or upbuilt town, but now there's been a lot of improvement. So you can imagine, here's this little girl who has this dollhouse that people have never seen, and her brother has boxes of toys. And
Wow.
whenever the kids would come to visit us, my brother would be dishing out toys. So we grew up with this thing over our heads. These are the rich kids. Of course, there were other people who were much more wealthier than my parents, but my mom has always had a taste for good things. She loves a good life, and that's what we had. My young brother uh, also really just kind of fits into what he found. So that was life. And then we moved to the capital city. So from this mining town, we came to the capital city, big change. You can imagine we're coming from this small mining town into this big city, city life. I think it was my first time seeing a flyover bridge when I was 5. And so a lot of things would shock me. I'm like, oh, okay, what's that? But I went to private schools. I started at a private school. I went to private schools all through my life and got a very good education. I started my preschool at Rodspad Schools here in Lusaka.
Right.
Right now, it's one of the most renowned private schools, quite costly. And then when my dad in Northwestern Province, and this is probably where my journey as an entrepreneur comes from. My dad was 36 years old when he became the managing director of Northwestern Water and Storage Company. This company, he was just given the memorandum of understanding. He was just given the papers, and he had to start up the entire company, put in all the procedures, how they're going to do it. It was the first time Northwestern Province was going to have a water utility company there. And he really did a great job. The organization is still in existence. This is the 22nd year. Although my father was only managing director or chief executive officer for 20 years. But it's still there. Everything he had set up is still being used. The plants, the water plants. For a number of years, my dad always won a top chief executive officer, best performing water utility. There was a time he won it 3 times in a row. And so having such a hard-working father really instilled in us as children to work hard, particularly me, because I'm very close to my dad. And then my mom on the other side has always done business. She was a cross-border business lady. And so I've had this
influence of
kind of
business in your
mind
life.
instilled in me. Yes.
But mostly daddy's girl. I can see, from what you're saying.
Very much, very much. My mom and I are very close, but I've always been daddy's girl. So yeah, even now. Even now.
So let's go a little bit back. Okay. I know there's a bit of a delay with the recording. We're in Africa and network sometimes is a bit challenging. But we will make the best of it. Going back now to, your what you said from your life, in the village, not village, a town, I suppose, before you went into the city. And then you now went to study in South Africa, in accounting. So why South Africa?
Okay, so what took me to South Africa was when I completed my grade 12, which is matric in South Africa, I was 16. So initially the plan was I'm supposed to go to Canada and pursue my accounting and law there. My dad really wanted me to be a financial analyst and to study business law. So being 16, we did the applications. I got very good grades at my grade 12. And I was told, just we've accepted you, but you need to wait 2 years. So you come to Canada, we'll place you in a home. And then when you turn 18, then you can start your studies. I thought, why should I waste 2 years? So then someone suggested, okay, try Australia. So when I started now doing my applications for Australia, this lady looked at the relationship between me and my dad. He saw how close I was and then how small I was. You know, I'm short. I'm about 5'50".
I would
I
have
was
known
very
that.
tiny. I'm short. I'm short. Yeah, I talk tall, hey?
Small people, they're dynamite.
But
Trust me, trust me.
yeah, talk tall but short. Anyway, so she looks at me and there's this little girl. I was 16, come on. So she says, no, Australia will also be too far for you. But there's this Australian university in South Africa. It's a wonderful university. It has produced great students. It's called Monash University. So did the application, and I did it at the same time with my older brother. So then my dad was very comfortable with sending me, saying, okay, at least there'll be the two of you there. And that's how I ended up in South Africa studying
Wow.
accounting.
Wow, what an interesting journey. You know what? We need to see some of your work and we'll be right back. Wow, my dear Wami, what a journey so far. Born in Zambia, only girl, Wami meaning mine. You know, you're just a daddy's girl through and
Mine.
through. Before we went on to the break there, you were talking about the fact that yes, or even in the break, you know, when me and you were chatting about, yeah, your father being an entrepreneur who managed a business successfully for so many years. Um, Probably wanted you to help manage the business and study financial accounting. And but you were, you know, like you said, your mom is a business person and you've always been, you know, brought up, I believe, you know, with that foundation as an entrepreneur in a way, and you had that vision. So now as an entrepreneur, why and what led you into starting Little Sweethearts Childcare and Education Center?
It's quite interesting to note how it all started. I have two kids, and when I had my first, who's a girl, and amazingly, she's your namesake, Kemi. I know in Nigeria it has a different meaning, but for me, it's a combination of my husband's name and my name. So we got the first two letters from him, and the last two names from me came up with Kemi, and then I meet the original Mama K, and I'm like, wow. So Kemi was about 2 years at the time. She started showing signs of wanting to interact, not just interact with me, but interact with peers. I went looking for a place for her right within our neighborhood. You know, with firstborns, you're so hands-on. You don't want them far, but you want to let them go, but you want them still near. So I wanted to find a place that was best fit for me under the mask of it being best fit for her. But basically, it was for my own convenience. And I shopped around within my neighborhood. I couldn't find a fit. So I go to another place. It had a very wonderful environment, but I didn't like the colors. You will notice, or you notice when you took the tour of our center, it's very colorful. It's very child friendly. And that's what I was looking for. I was looking for a place that a child can easily transition from home into the center and then eventually into a classroom kind of arrangement. I'm thinking a 2-year-old needs to be in a very playful environment because this helps them develop their cognitive development even faster. And I go back home, I tell my husband, I'm like, okay, I haven't found what I'm looking for, so I'm going to open one. He says, no, absolutely not. We are accountants. My husband is an accountant as well. And I said to him, but we can do this. I'm going to do it from a mother's point of view. He says, but that's not enough. You can't just do it as from a mother's point of view. There's so many things that are needed. I said, okay, I'll be back. So each time him and Kemi would be asleep, I would be studying. So I enrolled with Australian Open University, did my certificate in early childhood. Then I enrolled with another university in Texas. It's called Agri Extension. So I did about 10 childcare courses. The first one, how to run a childcare facility, how to come up with what do parents look for in a childcare facility, what kind of curriculum do you need to offer in a childcare facility, how do you manage health and illness in a childcare facility, ensuring health and safety. There was first aid. It had courses to do with nutrition, feeding, what kind of physical activities are appropriate for children, understanding the difference between growth and development. So now my brain is racing. I'm like, wow, I didn't know this. I didn't know that. And I'm going to implement everything. If there's something you should know about me, I love to implement. I learned something, I'm implementing. And one of my weaknesses is I'm impatient when it comes to setting up things. I can't say no today, I'm just going to do this, and then next month I'll work on this. I want everything done at once. So sometimes it's very stressful to be around me because
I can relate.
Can you do this thing? I'm all over the place. Once I sit down, I'm like, it's done. Let me move on to the next project. And so we did all that. And to top it off, this was in 2017. The people I hired, I trained them as well, because I believe your staff members need to have the same knowledge you have in order for the business to be successful. So when it came to the childcare aspect, I ensured everyone who was being employed, it be a teacher or just a caregiver, they all went through childcare training. Because as much as we have introduced education, childcare is still a very big aspect of our program here. And so that's how we started. It was because of the need that I had for my daughter to start the business. And I chose Little Sweethearts as a name because I thought children are really sweethearts before they hit 12 for obvious reasons. So I said this will mostly cater to children who are between the ages of 3 months to 12 years. We call them Little Sweethearts. When we start to cater for children above that, we'll just call it LS. People would just know it as LS.
I like that. I like
Sweetheart
that.
of the student. So yeah.
Wow.
That's how that's how I landed on Little Sweetheart.
Interesting. So how many children do you have and what's their age range?
Okay, so currently we have children between the ages of 8 months to 8 years old. We are currently at 50 enrolled children.
Okay.
So we have 15-year-old children.
Right. I know we're having that delay again, which is why, but so you've got children between 8 months to 8 years old and roughly about 50 enrolled children at the moment.
8 years old.
What has
Yes.
been some of the challenges for you as well with running a business? Because I'm sure, I know you've won a lot of awards as well. I've read so much about you and you're doing very well. With all the awards that you've won so far, what has been some of the challenges so far, though? That you've experienced, and how have you managed, to address them?
Oh, when it comes to business, every business is challenging, especially in the first 5 years. We have been open for 5 years from 2017 August to 2022 August. We clocked 5. And during this period, you're competing with well-established schools that have got financial muscle that you don't have, but you need to stay in the game. So that was one of the biggest challenges. You're trying to offer this service and people are looking, but you don't have this and you don't have that. And so you try to compete. So you end up getting a loan to just match up to the standards. Another challenge is the turnover of children. When we started, I was quite adamant about just being a daycare center. When parents would ask, can't you incorporate a school? I would say I would never be a school. Guess what? I kept on losing children. So I went back, thought about it, I said, why do I lose children? In Zambia, many parents would rather have a one-stop shop, even for a school. So their babies come for daycare and hopefully graduate through grade 12 or can go up to grade 7 or year 7. And so I started to see the need for me to change my business. And so in 2019, we introduced preschool. 2021, we had our first year 1 class, and now we have year 3. In September this year, we're introducing our first year 4 or grade 4 class. And so the turnover of the children really pushed me into changing, because I'm thinking I'm losing children so much. Where are we going wrong? And in the beginning, when you start a business, you do things great in the beginning. You set a standard. Then you start to think, okay, we've won the hearts of our clients, and you start slacking. Big mistake. That also made me lose some other clients. And then it was during a period when I had health issues. I had just been diagnosed with autoimmune disease. My heart issues were also just all over the place. So I would miss work so often. I have a great team. I can't deny that. But sometimes without my presence, work doesn't move. When you're in the first years of your business, everyone is trying to find their feet. And it's amazing, like in the program that you and I are in our AWOD program, we learned about having winning teams and knowing who's on your bus. I didn't really know who was on my bus. I thought, okay, all my employees would want to be with me forever, that they have my vision, but only to realize I had not given them the vision. I had also not established who on the team wanted to be a shareholder in the future, who was just there for a salary. So now that I know who is on my team, who is here for the long run, who would like to be a shareholder, and who just wants a bonus at the end of the year, it's very easy for me to train appropriately. So I can now train to say, okay, the person I'm training has my vision. So even when I'm not here, this person wants to see the success of this business. And so, I thank AWAC, because through the trainings we get, through our lectures, my business keeps improving. And so those are some of the main challenges that we face. And also the big one, when you're in education, these parents not paying, having people who are owing really disturbs the processes. And so those are some of the challenges I've faced in my journey.
Wow, what a journey. And I like the fact that, what you said there, about now knowing, which staff are there for the long run, and even you not sharing your vision, the openness, what you're saying. Because sometimes as entrepreneurs, be it entrepreneur, be it agripreneur, be it whatever, we have that vision and we are thinking everybody should just fall in line. And without a good team, it is tough. Before we end this segment, I just have one last question before we go on break. So, what are you mostly proud of? As Wami, the founder, owner of Little Sweethearts, and even your journey, up till now as an accountant, and your previous job. What are you mostly proud of? Because I know, like I said earlier, you've won many awards, and a lot of people are looking up to you, in terms of your journey, inspiring them. So what are you mostly proud of?
And it's just now when I think about it, I think I'm really proud of my resilience. A
Mm.
lot of people, even myself, thought at some point I'll just call it quits. There have been days when I've just said, what am I struggling for? Of course, this business is a business that should be run by my children after me. The same way you are running your parents' business, it should be something that's passed on from generation to generation. So with all the mistakes I've made, with all the lessons that I've learned, resilience is what I'm proud of. We went through COVID, a number of centers, schools, and the like closed down. We put through it. We had a big running loan. We were brave enough or humble enough to sell one of our vehicles so as to just clear the loan and move on. And so there's some days when you just say, no, you know what, my husband's working. I have a
Mm.
degree. I can get back and get a
Mm.
job. What am I doing this for? But having the bigger picture, realizing that every business faces challenges now, but will recover. What you put in is what you get out. So I keep putting in so that eventually I can start getting out. And so resilience, number one
Wow. Wow.
achievement.
I love that. Never giving up spirit. And I love what you said. What you put in is what you get out. And, not giving up. And the humility as well, when you're faced with challenge, to say, like what you just said there, you had to sell, one of your buses. Because if you can't say, no, 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 we need this or whatever, you had to work with, what was right for you at that time. And I love what you've just said about passing on, to children and generation. But from my own experience, my advice is start putting up that processes, and people in place, a succession plan, even right now. That's what I will say. So on that note, we will just stop for a short break and we'll be right back. Wow, I am still so fascinated about you, and I know we have a lot in common. Your resilience, your journey of starting Little Sweethearts, the need for it, which was based on your daughter, as well. So let me ask you now, what are the three things, for you that you value most in life? And I think I can already guess them. So what are the three things you value most in life?
Okay, not to be religious and everything, but number one is my relationship with Jehovah. Number
Mm.
one value. Second, my family. I really place high value on my family, my immediate family, my husband, Kedrick, Kemi, Kedmi, and then my extended family. My parents will kill me that I'm calling them extended family, but that's life. And my extended family now.
I agree.
And my business. I really value my business a lot because I've invested myself. People invest money, but yes, we've invested some money, but I've invested myself in this business. I've invested my health, my sanity. So I really value my business. And so every decision I make is based on the three things that I value the most, which ultimately comes to being very honest in my dealings when it comes to my business practices, being compassionate, which is also not always a good thing when you're a business owner, because sometimes you put compassion over profit and then it comes to bite you. But yeah, so I would say those are the three most things
That's
I
interesting.
value.
So I'll go on now to, for you as an entrepreneur, especially in the education field, but with accounting background, what are the qualities essential for a good leader? Because I know you lead, you serve, and just what you've just said there, compassion, resilience. What other qualities do you think a good leader, really need?
You should also be a conflict resolver. Like you need to really be able to resolve conflict. When you're dealing with different personalities, okay, it also goes back to being very tolerant, being very patient. But when you're dealing with different people, I have about 13 employees, female employees, minus the general worker outside and then the other part-time guys, which makes us a total of 16. But I have women, and handling women can be challenging. But I try my level best not to take sides, to be very impartial in my dealings with them, um, being very tolerant. It's not every information that I get that I react upon. So I also take the time to process. Okay, when this happened, what was the surrounding environment? What could have been the reason? Could it have happened like this because of stress? What other factors could have been behind it? And so I try to take my time to respond to a lot of issues that I get, especially from the employees. The two employees would come and that log ahead, and I would just say, okay, let's discuss this tomorrow. Because I'm trying to get both of them to calm down and see things in a different light. So being also having a lot of insights is required when you're in business. Being also having great interpersonal skills as well as communication skills, because if you're not a people person and you're in the education industry or you're in the childcare industry, you're constantly dealing with people. How will you do it? And also having a thirst for knowledge. You really have to be knowledgeable. You really have to have that desire to want to learn more, to know what's happening, what's the new thing, how can I be part of this new thing? And so dedication, resilience, tolerance, integrity is also very important. Compassion. You also need to have passion for what you're doing. It shouldn't just be a job. It should be something you love to do. You know, you need to be a great conflict resolver because you're dealing with people. You need to be tolerant with your not what's the word? Sometimes you are tolerant, but not tolerant to the extent where you just allow anything. No, tolerant to the extent where you allow things to happen that will not disturb or disrepute your reputation. And so those are some of the qualities. Wow. I know there are more, but those are the ones I can think of
sure
now.
this already was, some of those qualities you've shared, they're essential and they're useful, and I'm sure those who are watching and listening will know and can relate to, and it's something they can pick up, which kind of goes into my next question, about, your life lessons, over the years now that, from your journey, from being in boarding school, in private school, to going to South Africa, new culture, new environment, no parents there, to, being an accountant at EcoBank, I believe, and a lot of other things that you've done in between, and then becoming an entrepreneur. What advice or what key life lessons, apart from those qualities, that you've shared there, would you give somebody who wants to say, you know what, Miss Wami, you've inspired me. I want to start childcare in a remote part of Gambia, or in Somalia, what key life lessons, I know you've shared some of them already in all our discussion so far, but what are the key life lessons that you want to share with that person?
Number one, don't be afraid to fail, because failure sometimes is what you need to become successful. You learn. Be willing to learn and unlearn certain business practices. Be very principled. When you set the right principles and you stick by them, usually 98% of the time they lead to success. I'm going back. I never hide the mistakes I've made in my business journey. I'm not perfect. Even up to date, even Friday, our last working day, because today is a Monday, I did make some mistakes, but learning from them, and always put high value on any feedback you get from your clients, whether it's criticism, whether it's commendation. Take note of every single thing that you get from your clients and work on them. Another piece of advice I would give to someone who's just starting is to pay particular attention to difficult clients. Difficult clients have two things. They can break your business or they can make your business succeed. So when you group your clients, pay attention to your difficult ones. How you handle them will really have an impact on how your business turns out. And so these are some of the things that I would tell someone. I remember there was a TV program that I did, and I was asked, what would you tell a younger version of you? And this is something important that any person needs to put into practice or needs to take note of. Life should not be skipped. There are certain stages in life that just you need to go through them. I skipped stages. I finished grade 12 at 16, got married at 21, and but I don't regret, but I could have taken things slower. So it doesn't matter when you achieve certain things in life. Age is not a problem. My dad would remind me of KFC's owner who started the business at 68. So he tells me sometimes, my daughter, slow down. You're only 32. You have another half, to get to 68.
Yeah.
Take it a step at a time. When you try to skip stages, it comes back to haunt you. So the same with your business. Take it a step at a time. Don't be Miss Wami who wants to do everything at once. That's a weakness I need to work on. But if you're able to, you do it, but give yourself a break. It's important to give yourself a break. And if you're married like me, hand out some rose to other people. Never be afraid or ashamed to ask for help. Yes, women are super. We have abilities that men sometimes do not, but we need a break. You need help. Get help so that you can be vibrant. You can't think when you're tired. You can't think when you're stressed. So give yourself a break. Take it slow and be very principled.
Yeah, that is insightful and deep. And we'll finish this segment before we go on the break, which will be the final break before we come back. And I know you mentioned this earlier. We met as sisters at AWEC, which, for those who don't know, is African Women Entrepreneurship Cooperative, and we are both on the cohort 5. And it's been a blessing. It's been a blast for me. In fact, last night I was working till late to try and get my assignment out.
Me too. So me too.
However, the joy for me, the network opportunities, the people, I mean, this will not have happened if we didn't
I
meet,
did not.
through
Yeah.
Airway. So I want you to just share and encourage, anyone, about your experience with Airway particularly. What else I know you mentioned that it already allowed you to know who is in the bus. It opened your eyes to things you were not. So share more with us now on what AWEC is about.
Oh, A-work is what every woman wants to be on. It's the cooperative that you want to be on if you're an entrepreneur, if you are running a business, if you want to run a business. Actually, right now, I think today is the deadline for the applications, or not the deadline. Today, the applications actually open. Sorry, not the deadline, but the online applications open now. A-work, even if you've been doing business for 20 years, what you will learn during this journey will reshape your business. It will reshape your business to success. I'm an accountant. I have a degree in accounting. I studied marketing as part of my courses. I did economics, statistics, management, but it's nothing compared to what I've learned in the last 7 months, 6 months.
Yeah.
It's an MBA on its own. It's nothing short of a master's in business administration and management, specifically designed for women.
Yeah.
I've learned so much. Even the financial parts that we've been doing, the branding. Every business needs to have a brand. I never knew that. I thought, oh, people would just come because my place is pretty. No, every time you're doing or you're speaking about your business, you're branding it. People, what's the first thing people think of when they hear about your business? I never thought of that. And so it has been an amazing journey. I really feel uh, privileged to be part of the cohort 5. It's not a small achievement that you and the other 198 females um, being part of this program. I hear we're over 3,500 applicants, and to be just among the 200, it's a great privilege. And we'll certainly make AWA proud. No wonder we submit assignments, even if it's 2 minutes before deadline. We're pushing in the assignment because we know how beneficial it is.
All right.
It's really wonderful. I would encourage all women, try. You're not caught. Try again. Keep trying until you get in. It's really worth your while.
Thank you, Wami, for that. And on that note, we'll be right back. Wow, I am so blessed. When we have this conversations, people think, it's just for those who are watching or listening, or for the guests as well. But for me personally, it just opens my eyes, to a lot of things. It reassures me, it inspires me. So thank you, for this session and some of what you shared, and especially just before we closed as well with AWEC, program, which is a program, that I believe a lot of people need to know more about. And shout out to all our AWEC sisters, Dawn, the CEO, founder, everybody working behind the scene. Shout out to you, Joyce. Thank you, our PA, for all you do. Thank you so much. So now my final question and I really need to ask this. I know we've gone a little bit over the time we normally do, which is okay because I am talking to a special person all the way from Zambia. So we are allowed to go
Zambia.
over. So my final question, and I really need to ask this one, is the fact that, yeah, we all have issues we're passionate about, be it teenage pregnancy, unemployment, poverty, social issues, that we're passionate about. And I know you already, through what you're doing in education, you're already addressing, some of those underlying issues, which people probably might not make that, connection with. So my question now is, what social issues are you particularly passionate about? Which you might not be the one addressing it. So what is it? And not just what the problem is, but now, what do you think are the solutions? Because I know from the little I know of you and I've read of you, I know you're about solutions, not problem, which is what you're doing even with Little Sweetheart. It's about your child, needed a school. You couldn't find, the school, and you told your husband you want to do it, and you said, no, you can't do it. And you said, no, okay, I'll be back. And you went to educate yourself, to empower yourself more on childcare and, a lot of things. And you came back and you're doing it. So even in the midst of COVID, you're doing it. So what social issues are you passionate about? And what are the solutions? What needs to be done? And as well, I know I'm asking it in three parts. What more do we need to do as per education in Africa as a continent? Because we have a lot of people like you, degree, here and there, PhD, 2 degrees, masters, MBA. But why are we where we are in Africa? So what more do we need to do with education?
Okay, so I'm sure with everything I've been talking about, your head when I said the most important part of my business is childcare. I'm passionate about ensuring the safety of children from physical, emotional, worse, sexual abuse. That's number one on my mind. That's my social issue. Child abuse must come to an end. I am for stop child abuse. And abuse comes in any form, emotional, physical, particularly sexual abuse. And this takes me back to the award I won in 2021 when I was awarded as Zambia's top female innovator. And my innovation just centered around childcare. It was a shock that I came out first. People had amazing innovations in climate change, uh, name it. And here I am with an innovation that's just a service. I have nothing to show for it apart from my passion for it and my solution to that problem. And basically, my innovation was centered on childcare and taking childcare to the workplace. South Africa has creation in the workplace. Other countries do have, but in Zambia we don't. This is when it's starting, but it's almost non-existent. And so I have decided to provide childcare services to the working people, particularly women that do not qualify for paid maternity leave. Here's a woman, she needs a job, she has a 6-week-old baby. Where's she going to take that child? And so I've tried to speak to different places to try and see if I can open even at the malls. And it has been very difficult to get in. I spoke to HR directors on the importance of me coming in and setting up. And the first question they ask, who's paying for it? In my mind, I'm thinking this should be considered as a fringe benefit. If you as an employer provide childcare for your employees, they're going to be dedicated, they're going to be more productive, they'll even work longer hours because the child is right there with them. And for a woman, me being a woman, I cannot be productive if I'm worrying about where my children are, how safe they are. And we're living in a world where children, be it a girl or a boy, are being sexually abused. They're being physically abused by the nannies. Are you going to take your nanny to the police all the time the child is abused? No. Why not have a proper childcare center that is run by professionals and taking care of your children? And so that's what really I'm all about. So I'm opening the first ever childcare center in Zambia at a shopping mall. And this childcare center is in a location that is surrounded by many organizations. This childcare center is also going to be called Little Sweethearts, but it's just going to be a babysitting service. We're also going to be providing after-school care, particularly for the very young children. So we'll take in 6 weeks up to 8 years. So whether you qualify for maternity leave, you don't qualify for maternity leave, you will have a safe and secure place to leave your child. If you visit in Zambia and you have a baby, you have nowhere to live, think Little Sweethearts. We will look after your baby as you attend to your business. And so I'm excited about it. Once I open it, and I must be opening before the end of February, maybe even before this month, and because I'm set to start. There are just a few things that we're still discussing with the landlords at the mall, but we are good to go. Then we're going to take it to 5 locations within Lusaka and then expand it throughout Zambia. So now Zambia will be among the countries that are offering childcare services in business centers. And so I'm promoting gender equality, I'm promoting child protection, and really productivity in the workplace. You asked me, why isn't Africa where Africa should be? Yeah. It's all about productivity. Women particularly fail to progress because they're worried about children. Once you become a mother, your mindset changes. No matter how career-oriented you were, if you have nowhere to leave your child, you're not going to be as effective. So I want to take all that stress off the women by looking after their babies, being accountable, ensuring that their children are safe while under my care, and allowing them to be more productive. They can advance in their careers, and at the same time, allowing young couples like my husband and I to have some quality time, you know. You can't go on a date night with 2 of your children. You can't go out for dinner and your daughter is asking, what time is dessert coming? So we'll be open 24 hours a day.
Wow,
at
24 hours a day?
Yes. I also want to provide this service to the hardworking doctors and nurses, health workers out there who have to work the night shift and have nowhere to leave their children. I want to cater for everyone, particularly the women. So yes, we'll start off with longer hours and eventually we will be working 24/7. So that's something I'm working on. Can't wait to start. It's a big project. It's a huge project, but I'm up to the task.
You can do it. If anyone can do it, you can do it.
Eventually, we even call on investors because this is a big project, so it needs a lot of capital injection. So eventually, we'll be open. We'll come back to Impact Africa and say, Africans out there who don't know what to use their money for, bring it to Zambia. Let's open up this business. Let's take it countrywide and make money.
you know the interesting thing, as you're talking, I do want to say this on camera. I thought, okay, maybe when we finish, I'll have it. But I think for accountability as well, it's good I say it on camera, now. I am ready. If you're ready, once you've done how it works in Zambia, let's take it to Nigeria because there's a big need. So I am ready as well. An action. No, I'm serious. Let's see, because the way you were saying it and what you're saying for me is all adding up as well. And you are an action person and you are innovative. I'm not surprised you won the innovation, award. And what you're saying here is a big vision. It is a big, huge vision. However, it is important. It's those little things that we probably don't pay attention to. What you're saying, what you just said there, mother work is rushing to go home because to feed their little child, they've just had a baby. So yeah, how productive are they in the workplace? How, like what you said, the doctors, the nurses and all the care people in care. Wow, I could go on and on, but I'm being told we've run completely out of time. But my dear, my dear, my dear, Wami Kunda Chilwesa-Katongo, CEO, founder, entrepreneur, accountant, I salute you. I salute you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your program. It has been absolutely amazing.
And we're going to have the continuation. You need to show us, because you're saying by February this place will be open. We want to come back to just showcase, like you said, or cry out to people to say, where are the funders? Let's put our money. Is it
money to this business?
Yeah, which way do they say? Oh, so let's see. It might not even be money. It might be okay. Your other resources, that you have, connection. You might not have the money. You can connect to other people.
Definitely, the childcare equipment, the app. I can't wait to show you. I can't.
And I'm coming.
It will be similar with what I have here, but it will be better.
I'm coming to Lusaka now. I'm coming to Lusaka.
You're welcome, Kemi.
No, well done, and kudos to you. Thank you for your time.
You so much.
And we really, really appreciate you. I love you. I appreciate you. And I wish you all the very best. Like you said, your values being about Jehovah, your family and business. Those are the three things. Your faith, will give you that more bigger picture. The only thing I'm asking you, don't forget us when you become big, when everybody is asking to speak to Wami, and you're like, no, I don't know them. Why they Impact Africa?
No. Definitely not in my DNA, not in my personality. I never look down on anyone. I never forget people. No matter who they are.
You can't even. I will be in your face, even if you try.
And we have evidence. We have evidence. You'll be like, remember?
And you can't even say, it's like, Kemi, I'll just say, Kemi, you don't remember Kemi? Kemi, your daughter, Kemi. I'm like, no, thank you so much for your time. I know you're very busy as well. Thank you for your time, and we wish you all the very best for the opening, which I'm sure will be grand, which will go a long way. People will celebrate you, organizations will celebrate you, Africa will celebrate you, because we need to keep pushing for Africa and for our generations to come. So that's all we've got time for at the moment, guys. Oh, what an interesting session and conversation it has been today. And I'm looking forward to going back, to find out, little sweeter at the mall, in Lusaka, Zambia. We will be there to see how we're doing and what we're doing. So till next time, I celebrate you. I thank you all for watching, and I hope you've been inspired, by this journey, amazing, insightful, humbling, journey as well by this young, wonderful, dynamic, petite woman, as she calls herself today. So till next time. But oh, no, I almost forgot. So yeah, you see, we've been talking too much and I've been so excited. So in closing, I want you to just give a word of encouragement to anyone out there, your younger version of Wami, anyone, young girls, boy child, girl child, youth, anybody that your mind tells you to speak to just now, if you could just do that.
Word of encouragement. Your past does not define your future. That's just what I would say. It will not define what your future will be like. As long as you work hard to achieve what you want, it will never define your future. It can shape, but it will not define it.
Wow. Short and sweet and deep and apt. Thank you, Madam
Thank
Wami.
you. Bye.
Till next time, this is Impact Africa, and we're saying stay safe, stay blessed, stay healthy. Remember, God is love, and I love you. Bye-bye. How do you say bye in Zambia? How do you say bye-bye?
Bye. You're putting me on the spot. Mushala bueno.